Na 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 na, baby, give it up, baby, give it up. What's going on, guys? It's Bergs here from the Casual Athlete, and if I sound like a lunatic, I do apologise, but tipping has been kicking me round the bend at the moment. I just don't know who to put my tips on each and every week, but we've got round 18 coming up this week, so we may as well continue the trend and continue with our tips. But before we get into my video, guys, just a reminder to like and subscribe to the channel. We bring out so much content each and every week just for you guys, whether your fix be fantasy, tipping, or general NRL content. We have something here for you. So hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any of our latest content. Now, let's just take a quick look back at how I did last week, guys. And I got to say, it started really well with Origin on Wednesday night. The Blues got a big win, 13 plus, as I expected, and that was awesome to watch. Groundbreaking first half for the Blues. They out-muscled the Queensland Pack, and as they did in game one, I thought the forwards won that physical battle, and we ended up running over the top on the edges as well. The really encouraging thing for me, for New South Wales as well, was they scored on both sides of the field, 3 tries either side. Mitchell Moses was brilliant. Can't go past this game without mentioning him as well, and we've locked in a decider in a couple of weeks' time at Suncorp. I can't wait for that. Moving on to the NRL games for the weekend. Friday night started with the Doggies taking on the Sharks at Accor Stadium, and the Doggies got a big win in Golden Point there. Matt Burton slotting it from about 35 metres out, hitting the post and going over, much to the dismay of Nicho Hynes, who had an attempt from about 15 metres out, and he pushed it to the left. And the Doggies, man, they just keep rolling on, don't they? The Warriors got a bounce-back win over in Auckland against the Broncos. That was very key for them, I thought. Once again, Tamari Martin stepped up with Sean Johnson out of the side, and you've got to think that maybe if Sean Johnson is fit, does Tamari Martin keep his position? I don't know. I think that's something that the Warriors definitely need to consider, because they seem to be in much better form with Tamari Martin as their number 7. Parramatta, I got to tell you, I was really upset. I thought the refereeing got way too involved in this game. The bunker got way too involved as well. A lot of people were saying it was a good game, and yes, there was a lot of points scored, but I think as a Para fan, you'd be a little bit upset. I think they're getting refereed like the worst team in the competition at the moment, and they are. Unfortunately, still not last, with the Tigers losing this week by a bigger margin. That's the only reason they are not last on the competition ladder. But yeah, I mean, if I'm an Eels fan, I'm pretty disappointed with the way that game was refereed. I thought Blaze Talangi's try was also a try. It's not because I tipped Para, but I do think that by the letter of the law and the rules, that is definitely a try. For the Storm getting a win, 13 plus, man, it was a gritty, grindy game against the Raiders, wasn't it? Not really appetising for viewing pleasure, but they got a win, and that's what counts. We got an extra tip, which helps. The Dolphins, the second week in a row that they've showed them faith, and it's the second week in a row that they have disappointed me. I just can't believe that they only really had the hammer out, and yes, I know JMK got injured during the game, but they got out-muscled, out-powered by the Dragons. I thought they really utilised their middle forward rotation and their second rowers very well. Jaden Sewer, who ended up having to play a lot of centre for the game as well, was unstoppable, and especially backing up from Origin. Ooh, man, you had to stay out of his way out there at Cogra. The Panthers, man, my boys, the Cowboys getting a win in Penrith for the first time since 2016. Tell you what, did not see that coming. And I've got to say, it was awesome to get out there with the local fans as well. I can't honestly believe that we went out there and did that, to tell you the truth. But yeah, good on the Cowboys again. And we're on this hot streak again. Let's hopefully we can continue it again into this week. For the Roosters, they got a massive win at 13 plus, and still the Tigers chasing that elusive third NRL victory in a row since 2018. They will have to try again at a later date. But those are just a wrap up of the tips for the week, guys. 4 out of 8 if you include Origin. I know the NRL tipping app does include Origin as well, but in most of your comps that will be 3 out of 7 this week, guys. But hopefully we're looking to do much better this week. A lot of results just really aren't flipping our way, guys, and that's just, I guess part and parcel with tipping each and every year. let's just have a look at the tipping comp that we are running with NRL.com this year, guys. North Sydney Bears stays on top there. Chris, Jeff, J Fitz in second place. And we have a new face to the top three with Luke Catley coming in there in third place. A little drop off from Colin the Cobbo there. But keep putting in your tips, guys, each and every week. I do update everyone on how the tipping comp is going. Now, let's move on to round 18, guys. Woo! Alrighty, the first game of round 18 starts on Thursday night again this week, where we have the Eels taking on the Rabbitohs at CommBank. Now, over the last 10 games between these two teams, the Eels have only won 2 of those last 10 games and also had a loss to the Rabbitohs earlier this season. And you'd have to say that the Rabbitohs are a much improved team than they were about a month ago, and since that last month has gone by, they haven't really lost a game as well, and they're coming off the bye in this one. Whereas Parramatta, I think that they've been a little bit better than the score sheet or ladder would show. I think that they've lost a couple of games by very fine margins, and I do think the game on the weekend against the Knights was refereed quite poorly. I would have thought that Parramatta, having watched the game, were definitely the better side, and they were down going into halftime, and it didn't make sense in my head as to why they were down. The Knights performed very admirably. That's very true, but I thought that the referee definitely gave them a leg up in that kind of regard. But it is true in what they say about being, a higher ranked team and getting refed a little bit better than some teams at the bottom of the ladder. And unfortunately, the Parramatta Eels are down the bottom this year, and they're being officiated like it at this stage. As far as the outlook for this game goes, I'm going to stick with the Rabbitohs in this one. They tend to go very well against the Eels as well, and Alex Johnston tends to have a field day whenever he plays the Eels. So I'm going to go the Rabbitohs in this one, 1-12. I'd love to be able to pick the Eels, but I just can't. Next game up is the Sharks taking on the Titans up at Coffs Harbour, and the Titans come into this one in some stellar form. They put 66 points on the Warriors 2 weeks ago and headed into the bye all chuffed with that one. Going to some beaches, going to some clubs. I would be too to celebrate that one. And for the Sharks, they come into this one with a loss to the Dogs on Friday night last week after Nicho Hynes missed a 15-metre field goal. Now, the good thing for the Sharks is they have not lost to the Titans since 2017, and they also won the most recent fixture at Coffs Harbour between these two teams as well in 2022, a couple of years ago. But you know the script here with the Sharks. They are playing a team that is outside the top 8, and generally against those teams, they do tend to do quite well. Now, I don't necessarily think that the Dogs are going to be a top 4 team this year, but the Sharks certainly made them look like a top 4 team. They had that game by the scruff of the neck, and it's one of those things you've got to ice your moments. And Nicho, again, since getting picked for Origin, his confidence has completely gone out the window, and the goal kicking has also disappeared with it. I think he missed 2 very important kicks the other night, and you can obviously tell with the fact that the Sharks scored 3 tries and the Dogs only scored 2 tries, and they ended up with the similar amount of points. I know the Sharks kicked a penalty goal as well to get back into it. But for Nicho, he has iced those moments before. He's kicked field goals. I'm just not sure why he pushed it left, but we'll see. For the Titans, they get a host of guys back for this one. AJ Brimson should be available. Jojo Fafita should be available. They should also get Cleese Haas back for this game as well, along with Harley Smith Shields. Jaden Campbell might be out for this game, but we'll see what happens. I expect AJ to go to 5-8, and I kind of expect the Titans to get a win here. I don't know, call me crazy. I'm just feeling a little bit of something in the air, and that's why the Titans are going to be my Hills Cricket Academy lock of the week this week. I just feel like the Titans coming in off the back of some good form, put on a lot of points against the Warriors. I know Jaden Campbell was important in that game, but AJ Brimson is a massive in for them as well. And I think the Sharks are a little bit down on confidence at the moment. I'm going to go the Titans, 1-12. Friday night's games finish with the Broncos taking on the Penrith Panthers, and the grand final matchup this year went the way of the Panthers. Let's see what the return fixture has to offer. For the Broncos at the moment, I think they're in some real trouble. They've lost 4 on the trot at the moment and just cannot get their defensive structure right at all. They were missing a few of their origin stars, but I've got to think that that is a bit of a cop-out answer at the moment. It's been happening while they've been there as well. They've lost the games as well. For the Panthers, yes, they lost on the weekend, and they do not lose too many in a row as well. So it'd be very interesting for me to see if the Broncos can really snap this horrible vein of form. And I think with the record that the Panthers have got over them at the moment, they've won 7 out of the last 10 games against the Broncos. They've also won 3 in a row. I think ever since Penrith lost to them early in the season last year with that 1-point victory, they've really sharpened up against the Broncos. And it's really, I know the grand final last year, the Broncos had it in the bag, but the Demons have started to come into play more in their own games as well for the Broncos. And, I think maybe with their origin stars back, they've got more of a chance, definitely. But Panthers also rested a bunch of players as well. And I'm hearing Nathan Cleary could be back for this match as well, which could spell devastation for the Broncos, as the Grim Reaper would be back to slay them again. Let's go Panthers in this one. 13 plus.
Who let the dogs out?
That's right. Next up, we have the Dogs taking on the Warriors on Saturday at Accor Stadium. Now, this is a very interesting matchup for me, as the Warriors have not lost to the Dogs since 2018. And the Dogs, they're on a little bit of a revenge tour this year, as far as I'm concerned, getting wins against teams that have previously had a decent record over them while they've been down in the doldrums for the last 4 or 5 years or so. This week, they get a number of players back and ready and available for them in Jacob Preston, Kurt Mann. I think Josh Adokar may be back for this game. Saluka Fafita is also back, and Connor Tracy should also be coming back into this team after his head knock a few weeks ago. I do really like the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs right now. They are the form team of the competition for me. Not only are they severely outperforming the expectations that I had them on this year, but they are one of those teams that, with their defense, is right up there in the upper echelon of this competition. It's just everyone is buying into the system, and I don't want to have a massive love story set out for the Dogs, but you got to really respect the way they're playing at the moment. For the Warriors, they got a nice bounce back win last week against a Broncos side that was a little bit depleted, but also a little bit down on form and a little bit low on confidence. But I do like the work that I'm seeing from Tamari Martin each week. He gets to put that number 7 jersey on. I thought Tuivasa-Sheck had an awesome game as well. But for this one, I do think they've got the definitely pack weight, size on this Canterbury outfit. But man, they just keep turning up for each other, don't they? This Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs team. I think they get another win here as well. And I just, for the Warriors, it's been one of those seasons that I think they need to look back on and think, we probably should have got a couple of wins here. They let a couple slip early on, and it's costing them later in the season now. I'm going to go the Dogs in this one, 1-12. To Leichhardt Oval we go for Saturday afternoon, where the Tigers will be taking on the Melbourne Storm. Now, over the last 10 games between these two teams, the Tigers have won 2 out of those last 10 games. They have not beaten the Storm since 2018 as well. I just think for the Tigers, they were in some decent form heading into the Roosters game on the weekend, but I always thought that the Roosters pack was just working together really well, like an oiled machine at this point in time. It was one of those things where I just thought it was going to be a bridge too far for the Tigers, and it was. For the Storm, again, they are just finding ways to win games, even without, Pappenhausen pulling out pretty close to the start of the game as well, and Suafai Longo stepping in there. He does an awesome job once again. Jerome Hughes controls the game despite it only being a 22-point collectively affair. They held the Raiders to 6 points, and that's something that you've got to be doing to win premierships. That's definitely what they've got their eye on as well. It's what everyone's got their eye on, but for the Storm, it seems to be at the forefront of mind. They seem to be there every year, and they're currently 4 points clear of the next best team. which is mind-boggling to me considering how close some of the games that they've been in. But they've been on the right side of those wins, and that's what counts. They should get Pappenhausen back for this game. Remus Smith should also be coming back, as well as Alec McDonald, who is a nice interchange piece for them. For the Tigers, Latu Fainu and Jaden Sullivan should be available for this game, so that might create a few Benji halves headaches for the weekend, but I think they've found their half pairing at the moment. It has got to be Aiden Caesar and Lachlan Galvin. For this one, though, I do expect the Tigers to cop their first Leichhardt loss of the year. And I know it's hard for the Leichhardt faithful, but Melbourne at Leichhardt, tough for me to see the Tigers winning this one. I know the Tigers always turn up at Leichhardt, but I just think the Storm will be too strong in this one. Storm, 1-12. My mom always said, them Cowboys are like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. And that's exactly what we got on the weekend with the North Queensland Cowboys. This week, they're playing Manly back up at home. And over the last 10 games between these two teams, it's split across the middle 5-5. And I've got to say, I've doubted my Cowboys the last couple of weeks, and they've gotten a win. And for me, that almost thinks that maybe I have to go against them again, just to see if they can get a win again. No doubt fans will want me to do that as well. But I don't know with this Manly side this week. I'm hearing that Tom Trebojevic is going to be named in the centres this week, and that will be a question of whether they keep Lehigh Hopewadi at fullback or switch Kohler to fullback or switch Kohler to fullback. Now, I can't tell you which one I'm more scared of, Tolu Kohler, but we'll see what Seabold rolls out on Tuesday for team lists. For the Cowboys, they should get all their Origin players back from playing Origin in this one. And no doubt they needed a bit of rest as well, considering most of them played for Queensland. Queensland got bashed up. But I think for this one, I want to see the same kind of passion and energy that the guys who aren't playing each and every week showed against Penrith on the weekend. And I'm starting to think that maybe those guys should be playing first grade and not the guys who are playing Origin. But that's a story for a different day. A glimpse into my Cowboys nightmares right there. I just think that for the Cowboys, if they can play the way that they have been playing recently, which is just manage the ball, defend well, defend like your life depends on it, you'll win games. And no doubt that's what's happening right now because we have the attack to be able to put points on, but we didn't have the defense to go along with it. And that's what we're showing at this point in time. I'm going to go the Cowboys in this one. Don't let me down, boys. Cowboys 13 plus. Sunday's games start with the Roosters taking on the Dragons at Allianz. Now, these two teams did play on Anzac Day earlier this season, and it was a St. George Illawarra home game at Allianz where the Roosters were winners in that one. They've also won 8 out of the last 10 games against the Dragons, so a bit of a lean run for the Dragons. But this is not the same Dragons that appeared on that Anzac Day. They are fortifying their defense right now. They are playing together, even with guys like Lomax out of the team and Fairneye going down with an injury. They still find ways to win, and they are doing it with their power game, with some of their second rowers and middle forwards at this stage of the game. Jack DeBellin seemed to be out of favour a couple of weeks ago, but then played a lot of minutes in the middle last week, scored a try as well. Jaden Sewer had to end up at centre, but he is looking menacing in the centres. And speaking of centres, Roosters, man, they've got a lot of injuries in their centres. Billy Smith is now out. We have Michael Jennings out as well. Joseph Manu has potentially fractured his hand as well. So we'll have to wait and see whether he will play this week or whether he needs some scans or needs surgery on that hand as well. So, man, we got Ponga as well, who got suspended for 4 weeks. So it's a little bit difficult for me to see the Roosters getting a win here just based on the edges that they're going to have are going to be completely out of place. They already had Tupanua playing in the centres last week. So I don't know. The matchup is going to be very interesting, and I think Ben Hunt could expose them a little bit, and Lomax will definitely have some say in the fixture as well. I'm actually going to go the Dragons in this one. I think they get a win, 1-12, get a little bit of revenge on the Roosters. The last game of round 18 takes us to GIO Stadium, where the Raiders take on the Knights. Now, over the last 10 games between these two teams, the Knights have the better record. They've won 6 out of these last 10 games and are probably taking on the biggest down-trending team in the NRL at the moment in the Canberra Raiders. Aside from the Broncos, I'd say the Raiders are on the downward slide as much as the Broncos are. For the Knights, they got a good win last week, breaking a bit of a streak of losses there as well. I think for the Knights, they've just got to hold out until Kalen Ponga gets there. They need him available probably earlier than round 20 as to when he's due to come back. But man, I gotta say, Will Price, he looked lively on the weekend. I really liked the energy that he brought to the team, just being really direct with his runs. Providing a little bit of footwork, a little bit of jinking, a little bit of razzle dazzle, a bit of flair as well, and you love to see that in a young kid. And it really allowed Jackson Hastings just to kick off the back of it and really hone in on his role as well. For the Raiders, man, it was tough just watching Adam Cook and Ethan Strange go at it the other night. Ethan Strange had to move to the other side of the field and defend as well, and that was a bit tough to watch. I just didn't think he got the ball in his hands enough as well. And KO Weeks out the back, I just didn't think he really knew the structures. But they defended extremely well, I thought, the Raiders, and they've got to be commended for that. I just don't know if they're going to be able to hold out Knights side that are really, putting in the effort, putting in the work each and every week. And for the Raiders, yes, I saw the work last week, but will they continue it? And we know how much I love to tip the Knights on this channel, don't we? I'm going to go the Raiders in this one, 1-12. So that's it for my video this week, guys. Let me know what you think about my tips down in the comment section below. Please make sure that you like and subscribe to the channel. We bring out so much content each and every week, and I'll catch you on the next one.